is going. I might have to start shouting at this device in order to get a bit of better volume because it doesn't seem to be coming through at all. I have to turn my phone the whole way up, get the speaker on right the way up in order for to get any sort of fucking decent sound out of it. I'll have to fix that. Maybe I have to get a new phone or something. But yeah, Charlo, Canelo. Yeah, interesting fight, interesting matchup. A lot of uproar. People not happy with the fact that it's Jermall Charlo, a middleweight, rather than David Benavidez, which was the fight everybody wanted to see. They thought with Canelo signing the PBC that would be the fight that we would be getting. At least we would, still hoping to see that. Um, I hope we do get it. I hope we do get it. But again, I wouldn't blame Canelo for ducking him, like, because David Benavidez is a monster. I was just watching his brother against Charlo, and I remember when he fought Terence Crawford, he put in a real good performance, and he was shot in the leg or something, wasn't he? He was into some gang stuff, and he got shot in the leg, so you could see he was a bit reduced mobility, but he was in there and he was doing his thing, and I think he gave Crawford some trouble, and I mean he's up at middleweight now. Like that was him at welterweight, and I think he was even more of a natural junior welterweight. I think so. Could be wrong on that one. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, I mean, the real dog in him, you could see in that Crawford fight, and the Jermall Charlo fight, not so much. I mean, he was coming forward and he was good, but a lot of his punches seemed like arm punches. It didn't seem like he was putting a lot into it. Again, that could be because he's shifted up a couple of weight divisions. Against Crawford, he was very willing to engage. It's kind of like the story of Mickey Ward's brother, who had give Sugar Ray Leonard a good fight and stuff. And he could have been a really good fighter. Well, he was a good fighter, but after he got out of boxing and stuff, he got into that gang lifestyle and drugs and stuff, hard drugs, crack and heroin and all of this sort of stuff. And it's strange, and it's not an uncommon story in boxing. There's a lot of that stuff goes on for whatever reason. But I like Jose Benavidez. I think he's a good fighter. He was very willing to exchange with Crawford. He wasn't afraid to get stuck right in there. And it was good to see Crawford come up against that little bit of adversity as well. I think that was one of his better wins, really. Despite the injury and everything else, I think that was one of his better wins. A lot of people question Crawford's record. He fought some good guys, but he wasn't with PBC, so he wasn't getting your Thurmans and Spence and Danny Garcia, Porter. Those fights weren't there for him. But he looked great in every fight that he did have at welterweight. I think was it Jeff Horn he beat for the title. And of course he was great at light welter. Was he undisputed there? I think before undisputed becomes such a big thing, and everybody wants to be undisputed now. And what was he before? I think was he unified champion at lightweight then. He beat Ricky Burns for the world title. That was his first world title. Over in Scotland, he came over, and I remember the commentary and stuff, sort of saying, that this guy's supposed to be good, like he's a good amateur and stuff, but nobody knew too much about him. He wasn't really, and I think that was the story of his career. He wasn't really built up, to the extent that a Sean Porter or an Errol Spence was. Um, Similar to the situation that Boots Ennis is in now. His promotional stuff is all over the fucking shop. He's signed to these fucking Mickey Mouse fucking promotional companies. I think he's taking one of them to court at the minute, trying to get out of that. Because a fighter like that, he should be with PBC, or he should be with Top Rank. He should be getting the good fights. But for whatever reason, he seems like he's sort of being squeezed out. I'll say blackballed, but I'm sure his time will come. Let's just hope we get to see the best of him. A talent like that, you want to see them in with the best, and whatever it is they have to work out there, hopefully they can work that out, and we'll get to see more of them against good, bona fucking fighty opponents. We want to see him in there with the top guys, so we can really see, is he everything that people are saying that he is? Comes out of Philadelphia, obviously big fight city. They're known to be tough from there. Bernard Hopkins and fucking James Toney come out of Philadelphia. Not too sure, but they have a history of coming out with good fighters. It's known to be a rough city anyway. Philadelphia, it's a lot of crime and stuff, from what I've heard. And so yeah, we go way off track there, but Canelo, not his last, was his last fight John Ryder, and I think before that he had fought. Before that he had fought Jermall Charlo, so the younger of the Charlo brothers. He's operating at super welterweight. Was he undisputed there? He certainly held 3 of the 4 titles anyway, at least. I studied him a bit now leading up to the Canelo fight, and I thought, this is going to be interesting, because dynamic footwork, real good mover. He could step in quick, he'd move off at angles and stuff. An idiosyncratic thing to his movement, which was pleasing to the eye and effective as well. Good sharp jab, varied jab, great timing with it, stepping in and just shooting at just the right time. Step back out again if you needed to, very skilled guy. And of course the Canelo fight come along, and whether it was a big occasion, whether he just come up against somebody who had much more experience than him, and looking from the outside in, you looked at Canelo, there was a bit of stuff where he was sort of saying, Canelo isn't a skilled fighter. Now, obviously, the Charlo brothers are urban fighters, as they say, black American fighters, right? Here, kind of, I think with the black American fighters and with the Mexican fighters, there's sort of a real lineage. Those guys have been boxing for, hundreds of years, really, and the infrastructure and everything is there, and you can talk about genetics and stuff like that as well, and fast twitchy muscles and things. And again, it's like, I spoke before about music. The dancers in Africa and the black music, they have a feel for certain things, and Latin people have a feel for different beats and different rhythms, and there may be Europeans who typically the Euro trash, sometimes our fighters get referred to as more of stand-up fighters, and I think that's changed over the years. But I think that, the truly special fighters have sort of been anomalies, like your Ricky Hattons. I'm talking about stylists here, guys that come out and you look at them and go, oh, that's, you know what I mean. You don't see too many other Ricky Hattons, The same with Calzaghe, unique fighter. The same with Nazi Muhammad, a unique fighter. So there was no real school there. Well, I suppose with Nassim, you know, you had the Ingle Gym, you had Harold Graham and stuff like that who really had come along with that, you know, hard to hit, and Nassim sort of took it to another level, you know, and he brought in other elements. He brought in the showboating of, say, Eubanks and stuff like that. So maybe there is some sort of a developmental element there, but maybe, you know, with the advent of YouTube and stuff like that, where fighters from here and the crossover, guys going there and here and back and forth, and being able to pick up more some of the more American techniques and stuff like that, I've been able to come in. But I still have a feeling, and I could be wrong, but it's just a feeling I have, that the pure sort of strain of the urban fighters, and you know, the Mexican and the Latino fighters from whatever country they're from, there's something there, and of course we're seeing lots of great fighters come out of you know, Ukraine in particular. Like, I mean, you've had the Klitschko brothers, that guy whose name I couldn't remember the other day, the guy who was world champion at junior welterweight. Terence Crawford beat him, and Josh Taylor beat him as well. But he was a real good fighter. I'll have to look him up. Then of course, Lomachenko. And again, it's kind of like an anomaly. It's like, where did this come from? Where did this style come from? You know. So I mean, I suppose there's a lineage there, and we're seeing more fighters from like Russia, you know, like your Derevyanchenko's, and what's the guys up at light heavyweight now? You've got Bivol, and Beterbiev. You know, you're getting a lot of these super fighters that are coming out, and it's like, is there a lineage there? Is it, you know, you have to look at these things culturally and stuff. What is it that, you know? I think that's kind of a part of boxing. Like, I find it interesting, you know. So anyway, getting back to the point, the Charlos were saying that Canelo didn't have any skills. So basically saying, as great a fighter as you might be, and all your wins and the cash cow and all this, you can't fight on the level of a black man. That's basically what they're saying. Yeah, and Canelo did not like that. He did not like that at all. And he was saying, I'll show you what skills I have when we get in here, you know. And so they got it on, and you know, I think Jermall, after the defeat and stuff, he was quite humble and gracious when he came out after, and he says, "No man, you can bump." He says, "You can fucking fight, like, fair enough." And so that was okay. Now it's Jermall that he's fighting. I haven't studied Jermall so much. I think he's a bit more flat-footed than Jermall. You know, he's a bit heavier. He doesn't have that same quick, nippy footwork, but quite dynamic with his head movement and and quite what's the word, like efficient or economic with his upper body movement and stuff. He's quite good at knowing in advance sort of what's coming, and he doesn't feel the need to bob the head right down like Floyd Mayweather might have done, you know what I mean, to avoid a few shots. He just little glances and little glides and little angles like that. Hard puncher, just seems to throw power shots again and again. Seems to be handy with an uppercut. Left and right, more so the right. When he's in close, not so much in the clinch, but just at close quarters. It's a punch that he tries now and again, and he seems to have success with it. Canelo, Canelo's just Canelo, isn't he? Like, I mean, we've all watched Canelo. Great fighter, and he's always adding. You know what I mean? He's always adding to what he has. Maybe not this last few fights. I think people sort of thinking that he's reached a plateau where he's starting to. You know, the guy's been fighting for 20 years. He's been fighting professionally from, 14 or 15, something like that. And I've always liked Canelo, you know. I kind of felt bad for him, when Floyd Mayweather schooled him. Like, it was a real humbling for him, But he look at what he learned after he fought Angulo, who was sort of touted fighter at that time, heavy hands Angulo. I'm not sure where he was out of, but he beat him well, and he displayed some of that head movement and little shoulder dips and rolls in that fight. You see, he'd studied that Mayweather fight, and he was picking stuff up by that time already. He fought a few guys like Kirkland and stuff like that. Decent fighters. Fought Amir Khan, good money in that fight, and he completely flattened him. And people give Khan credit that he was winning the fight up until that point. But obviously Khan's got the quick combinations, the straight shots. He's got, they say he had the fastest hands in boxing. In and around his weight anyway. He's real flashy hands, but unfortunately he leaves the chin out to dry sometimes. Khan's a good fighter. Like, you can't, you always got to remember that Maidana performance. The body shot, dropped him with a body shot. So big balls, Amir Khan. Like, so he fought John Ryder. I think that was in Mexico. It was like a homecoming fight. He won the fight. Apparently, it was a good showing for John Ryder. He beat Callum Smith. The size disparity was what it made you think he didn't really have a chance. But he was really, I think that was peak Canelo there. He was really on top of his game, skill wise. His movement was great, cutting off the ring, shot selection, and all the intangibles as well. Just a true heart of a champion and all of that type of stuff that you can't really account for too much. Stuff that you can't measure. You know what I mean? With a machine, like. So, I think it would be a good fight, and you know what? Jermall Charlo's a big name. Like, he's still fighting a good fighter. I think it could be a close enough fight. It being this stage for Canelo, and I mean, look at it this way: it would be hard to envisage him winning in the same fashion that he did against Jermall. It's just hard to see things going that way. Then again, if Canelo comes out of that fight looking really good, then that could set up the Benavidez fight. I will start people thinking, going, well, you know what? As good as you say Benavidez is, and God knows how he'll look in his next performance against Morrell or whoever he fights. I'll say maybe he'll come out looking bad, and they'll say Canelo looked great. Now this fight's starting to cook. Now this is looking good. Alright, we'll get the fucking pay-per-view numbers up, and no man, it'll be good to see. I mean, obviously he's with PBC now. I'm not sure if that's Al Heyman still fucking lurking about in the background there, pulling all the strings with PBC. You don't hear too much mention of him nowadays. Of course, when Mayweather was back in his pomp, he would be shouting out Al Heyman all the time. Like, I want to thank God, I want to thank Al Heyman. And yeah, I mean, it's yeah. The one thing I'm not so fond of with PBC, you don't see too many of their full fights in good quality uploaded to YouTube, And of course, over this side of the water, it's hard to get a subscription to PBC. I don't know how you would even go about getting one of those in the Top Rank. They're linked in with Sky Sports. DAZN's DAZN, and of course in with Queensberry are linked in with Top Rank as well. And you've got Sky Sports there with what they're doing. They seem to have had a few good fights. Natasha Jonas versus Baumgartner, was it? Somebody she fought. It was a tough fight for her, but I thought you won the fight. Like, I thought you came through it well. she came through the flames there. It was a big test for her. And I didn't realise that she's actually rightly on. She's in her mid-30s, I think. I thought she was sort of a youngish fighter coming through in her mid to late 20s or something like that. But she looks good. She's a good fighter, and she's enjoyable to watch. So it's good to see her get the win. And of course, then they had Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall, which hopefully we'll see the repeat of. That would be good to see. And Savannah Marshall maybe having developed a bit more to see what she can do with Clarissa Shields. I think Savannah Marshall beat her in the amateurs, if I mind right. So there you go. Jermall and Jermall. It's Jermall. Jermall is going to fight Canelo. Great. I think it'll be a good fight. I always like to watch Canelo fight. Who else did he beat? Billy Joe Saunders. That was quite a good one. The crowd were baying for blood. Canelo delivered. And Billy Joe Saunders became Billy Joe Sausages. But he's back in action now, man. I seen him on that Simon Jordan show, up front with Simon Jordan, whatever it was, and he was talking well and looking well, so it'll be good to see him back in the ring. Maybe up at light heavyweight. Obviously Billy Joe Saunders is a fantastic boxer. I used to watch him back when he was with Queensberry back on Box Nation days. And just a fucking flat out great boxer. And the Lemieux fight was fantastic. Lemieux missed him with a big shot. He tipped out of the way and he looked up into the crowd. That was a classy move. That was good to see. Anyway, nearly spilled my tea. I think that's just about enough, isn't it? More than enough, really. But there you go. Good night.